Remember, words are powerful, but actions speak louder than words. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Riley K. Jones. I'm a writer, teacher, and author tuber. And you might have noticed that, yes, I have gotten a haircut. It was long overdue. Today we're going to talk about white room syndrome. You might be wondering to yourself, what is white room syndrome? A couple weeks ago in my video, How to Write Dialogue, I briefly touched on the subject. If you want to watch that video for more context, click the card right above. White room syndrome is when you have a lot of dialogue and not enough description. It seems to the readers that all the characters are just talking in a white room and sometimes feel like floating heads just talking to each other. What has happened in your writing is that you have not set the scene up enough for the readers to be able to be immersed into that scene. What sometimes is the case is that you may have fleshed out your main character, but you have not fleshed out the rest of the characters in the room or the actual room itself. So remember, as we have been talking, that we need to be treating our characters as humans. They all have needs, they all have wants, they all have personalities, and we need to cater to those needs, wants, and personalities. We need to show some of those things off to our readers. And a phrase that I'm going to be continuing to say is show, not tell. Telling is telling the readers what they need to know. Showing is immersing your reader into your story. And immersing your readers, showing your readers, always makes for a better story. So we want to show those details, their wants, their needs, their personalities through their interactions. Think of some possible questions to ask yourself. What actions might my character be doing? Is the character even fully invested into the conversation? If so, how are they showing that, or vice versa? This does not mean that we're going to dump as much information that we can, or telling the readers what every single character feels or thinks. Remember, if you watched my video on dialogue, we need to be dropping hints subtly. And depending on which point of view you have chosen to write in, whether that be first person or third person limited or third person omniscient, you might fall victim to head hopping. But more on that in another video. So you might be asking, Riley, how can I fix my white room syndrome? Ask yourself the following questions. Where is your scene set? When is your scene? Who is in the scene? What are they doing? And why? These questions play a role in your story, and they need to have a specific reason for happening in your scene. Whether you are sharing the story's theme in that scene or specific details, such as maybe an important clue or character traits and development. Let's say that you have a couple who is angry at each other, and let's say that this is a romance book, and they're so angry at each other on the brink of exploding into a heated argument. The setting and what they are doing can downplay or ratchet up the tension in order to accomplish the goal that you have set. And for this illustration, the goal is that big explosion of anger. So in our example, let's say that Joe and Molly are a couple and they've been wanting to have a baby for a while and can't seem to get pregnant. So you want to ask yourself, what is the worst way they can have this argument? What is the most awkward timing that they can have this argument in? Maybe they are planning to go to a sibling's baby shower and have to assemble a nearly impossible child's toy. Or maybe they're already at the baby shower, where Molly is watching her sister open up all the baby shower presents. She sneaks off into the kitchen to refill some snacks, and Joe follows. In either example, there are certain tips and clues that you can give to your readers through the actions that each character displays. Maybe while they're building the toy, they can't be focused on the task because of the argument and topic that they're talking about. So sometimes things get misplaced. Maybe someone throws the toys up in the air in frustration. Maybe Joe is trying to get the stupid piece together and in mid-sentence he's cursing and mumbling to himself, trying to get it together, but Molly's going on about, oh, what are you going to do when we have children? You're going to be like this as well. And a lot of tension is building up through what they're trying to do. Maybe in the refilling the bowl section, Molly could be slamming some things into the countertops, like maybe the bowl of chips, and she's slamming the cupboards to get the chips out, aggressively ripping them open. Things like that to help identify to your readers how is she feeling through action. Remember, words are powerful, but actions speak louder than words. Another way to fix your white room syndrome is to immerse your readers into your narrator's or your character's senses. These are using sensory details. Sensory details include sight, smell, taste, touch, and hearing. Again, we want to show, not tell, the reader what your narrator or character experiences. It was a cold, wet day with high winds. That is an example of telling. It's boring, straight to the point, blunt. The chilly autumn air was wet with rain. The wind whistled a high, eerie note. The trees moaned under siege from the battling wind. This is an example of telling. I'm giving you what the air might smell and feel with wet with rain. The hearing through the whistling high eerie note. And even some more hearing and sound with the trees moaning in battle against the wind. A lot of times we also want to try to use strong action verbs rather than weak linking verbs. In my telling example, I use the word was. In my showing example, I used lots of action words, whistled and moan. I also did use was because sometimes using linking verbs are okay, but we want to make sure that we have a lot of strong action verbs to support them. Here's another example with dialogue. The walk was horrible, she moaned. Oh, really? I asked. Here we have floating heads. There are two people talking. We don't really know them at all. We don't know who's talking. We know one is the narrator because it says I asked, and because of the word moaned and asked, we kind of have some inquiry and some sort of sense of mood, but it's not enough. We don't know what's going on. We don't know where they are either. Let's try an example using sensory details. Jessica kicked off her shoes and collapsed onto my bed. That walk was horrible, she moaned. Oh, really? I rolled off my side, leaving my homework on the edge of my bed. My pencil fell to the floor with a clack, but I didn't care enough to pick it up. Here are some examples of showing I'm giving my characters actions to display how they're feeling. So for example, she's kicking off her shoes, she's collapsing on the bed, she's also telling us that it was horrible. All of that communicates that she's exhausted and it was horrible. With my narrator character, she rolls off her side, so she's doing homework. So we find out, oh, she is on the bed with Jessica, and her pencil falls to the floor, and she doesn't care. She's showing her full attention to Jessica. You don't need to go overboard with these descriptions. In fact, you might lose your reader completely if you go overboard with these details. I'm looking at you, Charles Dickens. When writing dialogue, you want to sprinkle in this type of information, occasionally maybe breaking up with a couple narrative paragraphs, but when we're having that dialogue, talking back and forth, we just need a few details here and there, and occasionally without. So you want to sprinkle in these details in order to show your reader the emotions and some information. So you immerse your readers in these descriptions of the 5 sentences and knowing the where, the when, the who, the what, and why. And that is all for today's video. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope that you enjoyed this video on how to fix white room syndrome. If you like this video and videos on all things writing and reading, click subscribe and ring that bell for more notifications. I post videos every Thursday. And give this video a thumbs up if you liked this topic and would like to see more videos on this in the future. And leave a comment below, what are some writing advice that you would like to see in the future? Thank you all so much for watching.